Kill the Shadow is truly one of the most visually interesting detective games that I have on my radar. It mixes detailed 3D environments with 2D pixel characters, gives you a supernatural creature that can reconstruct the memories of the dead, and then asks you to arrange evidence to determine what actually happened. The dialogue is natural. The sound design has weight. The investigation requires an actual functioning brain, which felt a little presumptuous, but I was willing to give it a try. And then, right as the game was teaching me an important mechanic, the tutorial suddenly switched to Mandarin. No English translation, no way to understand what it wanted, just me, the shadow, and several important looking words that had clearly continued the investigation without me, which is not ideal in a detective game. Kill the Shadow is a supernatural detective RPG developed by Shadowlight and published by Phoenix Game. You play as Lucas, a former police officer investigating a collection of strange cases across Darktide City. What begins with seemingly isolated mysteries, a murdered puppy, a disappearance during a temple fair, and suspicious activity around Shipwreck Wharf gradually connects to a disaster that fractured the city 10 years before. Attached to Lucas's back, metaphorically and possibly literally, is the titular Shadow, a deeply suspicious creature capable of consuming memories and reconstructing the final moments surrounding a death. Badge, notebook, memory-eating bat creature, all the essentials, ready to leave the house. But this isn't one of those games where you click every glowing object until the protagonist solves the case without you. You explore semi-open districts, question witnesses, collect physical evidence, and bring your discoveries to a deduction board. The board asks specific questions about the case, and you have to arrange clues and photographs into an answer that actually makes sense. There's also a supernatural rewind ability that reconstructs past events at a crime scene. You can move backward through the event, reposition yourself, and examine details that weren't visible from your original perspective, which is extremely cool. More importantly, it makes you feel involved. Some detective games treat investigation like a scavenger hunt. Collect 6 suspicious objects, present your little basket of crime, and wait for the protagonist to become smarter than you. Here, I had to understand the evidence and build the sequence myself. That made solving the case much more satisfying and allowed me to briefly pretend I was extremely perceptive. Lucas also has strength, spirit, and charm attributes that affect how you approach conversations. You might persuade someone, intimidate them, offer a bribe, or find another route to information you need. Your decisions can alter the fate of individual characters and contribute to multiple endings, so the game appears interested in more than one perfectly prescribed solution. The obvious comparison here is Disco Elysium. You can feel some of that influence in the internal narration, character attributes, and the way Lucas reacts to his surroundings. But Kill the Shadow doesn't feel like it's simply trying to become Disco Pixel. The physical evidence board, crime scene reconstruction, and creature living on Lucas's back give it more than enough weirdness of its own. And I mean that lovingly. Visually, its identity is immediate. The 2D characters should look strange walking through these painted dimensional environments. And they do. Just correctly strange enough. The environments shift as Lucas moves vertically through each scene, giving the world much more depth than a typical side view pixel game. The characters remain crisp and readable, while Darktide City feels grimy, layered, and properly lived in. It's dirty, moody, and slightly suspicious of you. Exactly what I want from a city full of supernatural crime. Even the text has personality. Dialogue can shake, stretch, or change its presentation depending on how a line is delivered. Combined with Lucas's internal observations and some fantastic accompanying sound effects, conversations feel far more expressive than a standard wall of detective game text. Unfortunately, this is also where I ran into the demo's biggest problem. Some important dialogue appeared in Mandarin without an English translation, including part of a tutorial. The English voice work was inconsistent as well, with some unvoiced lines and occasionally differences between what was spoken and what appeared on screen. Normally that might be a manageable polish issue. Here, conversation and comprehension are part of the investigation. When I couldn't understand what the tutorial was explaining, I couldn't figure out how to continue, and that was genuinely disappointing because I wasn't ready to stop. The deduction board had me arranging photographs like I'd developed a personal grudge against an unsolved puppy murder, which obviously I would have. The rewind system then made investigating feel active. The city had already made me curious, and the art artwork immediately gave the game its own identity. I was in. Tiny imaginary detective hat and everything. So, to be completely fair, I only played the current demo build. This may not reflect the English localization in the finished game, and I genuinely hope these issues are corrected for the full release. There's far too much talent and personality on display here for this to be the thing that holds it back. The strict audience is anyone who enjoys dialogue-heavy detective games, supernatural mysteries, methodical exploration, and building a case from scattered evidence. If you primarily want action, fast pacing, or a mystery that gently drops the correct answer into your lap with a juice box, this probably won't be for you. But if you enjoy games that expect you to pay attention and form your own conclusions, there is a lot here worth watching. My first look verdict is wait for reviews. Not because I think Kill the Shadow looks bad, honestly it's the opposite. I'm recommending caution because I want to know that the full release lets its strongest ideas come through properly in whichever language a player chooses. If it does, this goes straight back onto my list, because I really do want to solve this mystery. I'm already emotionally invested in my strange little bat creature and unreasonably angry about that puppy. For now, Kill the Shadow is a brilliant detective RPG that got a little lost in translation. I'm just really hoping it finds its way back before launch.